Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Wake Up Well. It's important to wake up well, but the way to wake up well is actually to go to sleep well. So today I have an expert with me who is all about sleeping well. And I know, considering what's going on in the world right now, we need to know how to get better sleep. So let me introduce him. His name is Devin Burke. He's a sleep coach. Devin Burke helps CEOs, high achievers, and exhausted insomniacs, that's me, get and stay asleep so they can wake up with more peace, power, and presence. He is the founder of the Sleep Science Academy, which helps people stop suffering and start sleeping using a unique, holistic approach based in science. So let's get right into that. What is that holistic approach that you take to help people get and stay asleep?
Yeah. So first off, thanks for having me on. I appreciate you bringing me onto the show. And a lot of people don't realize is having sleep challenges is multidimensional. So what I mean by that is a lot of times we try to address sleep issues, specifically insomnia, which is really what I focus on with my clients, physically. Meaning we take sleep supplements, maybe we get a new mattress, maybe we drop the temperature down. We do all of these things to manipulate our physical environments. And yes, those things can help promote sleep, but a lot of times it's here. It's how we're thinking about sleep. It's how we're managing our stress. It's how we're scheduling our days. Yes, it's our sleep environments. Yes, it's the comfort of our bed. Yes, it's all these other things that can impact sleep. But it's really when you really want to solve sleep, and that's what I do for people is help them stop suffering and start sleeping. You got to look at how every aspect of your life affects sleep. And so I tell people an amazing night's sleep happens as soon as you wake up. So what you do throughout your entire day and what you decide not to do, which is just as important, dictates whether or not you're going to be able to wind down and get the peaceful sleep that you need to do it all again the next day.
Okay, so let's start with the to-do list. What are some of the to-dos in order to get a good night's sleep starting from when you wake up? I love that, by the way.
Yeah, so a lot of times people wake up and they wake up in a very stressed, chaotic state, right? So they get out of bed. The first thing they do is maybe they go get a cup of coffee and then they're slamming some food in and running out the door. Now we're not running out the door. We're, maybe running to the next room to jump on the conference call or the meeting or whatever it is. But most of us start our days in a very chaotic, hectic, stress-inducing way. And then that stress, it builds and compounds. I kind of tell people it's like a pressure cooker, right? So it's building. And then at the end of the day, when you're trying to wind down and you're trying to get your mind to stop racing and trying to stop thinking about all the things that you did or didn't do or have to still do, then you're all wound up, you're hyper aroused, and you're like, okay, well now why can't I sleep? And you're tossing and turning, you're staring at the ceiling, you're waking up, you're looking at the clock, and then it's like this vicious cycle.
You just described my night last night.
Okay. Well, you and 40 plus other million Americans, probably more now, I would say. Actually.
Especially, by the way, when the full moon is out. I noticed that when the moon is full, sleep is definitely more challenging.
100%. And it's also with cycles, women's cycles. There's the fluctuations in hormones, which fluctuates body temperature, which fluctuates sleeping patterns. So women have an even extra layer of difficulty because of what God has given women. But so really, waking up and from a hormonal standpoint, when we wake up, cortisol, the stress hormone, is actually at its highest peak during the morning. That's what wakes us up. And what happens is if that cortisol we don't allow ourselves to have that dip come back down, it can stay up, right? And then it has a really hard time. Our adrenal glands are firing off adrenaline, noradrenaline, and our bodies and minds just can't wind down at night. So really that's when I say it starts as soon as you wake up, that's what I mean. So starting your day in a more peaceful place. So starting with a slower activity. So starting with some stretching, some meditating, some journaling, going for a walk, which is great because you're getting vitamin D. You're also resetting your circadian rhythm. If you can, getting your feet on the ground, which actually has been proven to help our circadian rhythms, which is just our natural body clock. Starting your day in a more peaceful way actually has a tremendous...
So that's interesting. So don't actually stay in bed. You should actually, even if you're meditating or journaling or doing those things, you should actually get out of bed and make sure your feet are on the ground.
Yeah. So here's the thing. Now, my recommendations, depending on who I'm speaking to, if you're a chronic insomniac, right?
Yeah.
You have literally spending more time in bed is actually one of the worst things you possibly could do. And it's what most people think they need to do more of. Because what we're looking at how can we increase sleep efficiency, which is the time in your bed actually asleep. We don't want to anchor your bed with anything else but sleep and sex. That's it. That's it. Nothing else. And so, yeah, I'm a big component of that's what happens when you're in bed. It's those two things, nothing else. So yeah, getting up and getting out of bed, and specifically if you wake up in the middle of the night and you're awake for more than 15 minutes, don't continue to roll around in bed. Get the hell out of your bed, because you're anchoring your mind body with bed equals roll around and wake up. And that's not what we want.
Oh, that's interesting. And you know what? So what I do is I do the whole, mind, body, soul approach to life. So when I first wake up, I do meditate, but I meditate in bed. So guess what happens when I meditate in bed most of the time? Fall back asleep.
Right.
So that right there, I need to make that shift myself into getting up out of bed, go find a space to meditate so that the two don't equate to each other.
Right.
So,
Anchor. I mean, I'm big on anchoring certain activities in certain places within your home or outside of your home. It's really important. It's really important because our body loves routine. Our mind loves routine. We love knowing that when we go to a certain place, we can expect what's going to happen in that place. Our minds and bodies love that. Yeah. So yeah, getting your meditation out of your bed would be an ideal.
Okay. All right. So that's a first do. What's another do for sleeping?
Yeah, another do would be to watch how much stimulation you take throughout the day. So stimulation comes in many forms. One of the most common ways it comes is through coffee for most Americans. And I love coffee. And I drink coffee, but we often drink too much coffee, or we drink too much throughout the day. Yeah. And so, from a biochemistry standpoint, there's something called adenosine, which is this chemical that builds up that creates what we call sleep pressure. And we need this thing, adenosine, to build up so that we get sleepy at night. And caffeine blocks that. And so caffeine has a half-life, depending on how strong your coffee is, of between 4 and sometimes even 7 hours. So that means it's in your system for 8 to 14 hours, right? Okay. So,
and is that just coffee, or are you talking about caffeine in general? Because I'm a tea drinker. I haven't drank coffee in my entire life, but I do drink tea. Not always black tea, usually green tea, which has a little bit of caffeine in it. So you're talking specifically caffeine.
Caffeine
for all this. Okay.
And caffeine can come from chocolate. It can come from tea. It could come from energy drinks. Any type of stimulants. That's you're physically stimulating your body, which is going to create a sense of hyperarousal. Yeah. Which is going to make it more challenging for you to wind down at the end of the night. Okay. Now, and then again, you get in this vicious cycle of you don't sleep well. So then you feel like you need something to be productive. And then you get in the habit of needing more of whatever it was, right? You're shaking your head. So it's how do you get off that vicious cycle is, well, really you solve sleep, because really if you're getting great quality sleep, you don't need any stimulants to stay focused. You don't need any external anything to stay dialed in, stay calm, stay present, and stay focused on accomplishing whatever is thrown at your way.
And that is really true. I think people not only use caffeine to get themselves going, but I think they even use food. And chocolate has caffeine. So they'll use that to say like, oh, I'm tired, so I need to eat more. And probably, I would imagine, you're the expert, so I'm going to ask you, if you were getting good quality sleep, you probably wouldn't be snacking as much and looking for those food energy breaks too, correct?
100%. So I'm glad you brought this up, because stimulation also comes in the form of sugar. And when we don't get the sleep we need, there's a lot of science that shows this. Our ghrelin and leptin, the hormones that signal being full and being hungry, get all out of whack. Insulin, which is the hormone that shuttles sugar into our muscle cells to fuel us, that gets all out of whack. So what happens is we go on this sugar roller coaster. We're really energized, because we're loading sugar, and then we have this dip, and then what do we go for? We go for more sugar to bring us back up, and then that's you're stimulating your body. You're constantly riding this wave that then creates, again, hyperarousal. And also, when you don't get quality sleep, it leads to these sugar cravings. The body craves sugar and fat. Sugar is energy, right? And fat's a form of energy as well. But that's what the body craves when we're not getting enough quality sleep.
Okay, so it's making sure that you're getting out of bed and starting your day mindfully, and then it's losing the caffeine and all those stimulants. And then what else is a do?
Yeah, so I work with a lot of very high performing, very successful people in my practice. And often these people are leading teams or running companies. They're very busy and they have, type A personality. And I always explain to them, our energy is, it's always expanding and contracting, right? So you can think of when you're focused on a task, your energy is actually contracting. So you're building up tension and pressure in your mind-body system, which needs to be released throughout the day. Now, if you don't release it throughout the day, so if you go from one thing to the next thing, to the next thing, to the next thing, without any transition, without any break, without letting the pressure off the pressure valve, when you end your day or try to end your day, there's going to be so much tension and pressure that's built up in your mind or your body that it's going to be very hard to wind the mind-body down. So you have to create transitions. And transitions can be, and I'll explain this even for like a mom, can be from picking the kids up from school, obviously not right now, but and then coming home. That's a transition, or transitioning from one task and project into another conversation. There's all these transitions that happen throughout the day, and it's important to create space in between those transitions, because if you get the sense, stress speeds us up. It speeds our mind up, it speeds our heart up. And that's the last thing we want when we're trying to get quality sleep. We want to be able to slow down. So transitions throughout your day, which could be as simple as 5 minutes, stepping away from your desk, stepping outside, breathing, drinking water, moving your body, watching a funny video. I always tell people, get off the stimulation like the iPhone and the computer. Get yourself, if you can, to a place of peace. Maybe it's a short meditation, just some breathing techniques. Just give yourself a little bit of a chance to let that simmer. Let the energy that's being used in our brain and our body, let it simmer, and then get back into the next thing. That makes a world of difference at the end of the day. I love
that. Your word is I teach people that all the time. So your word is transition, and mine is step away for 5 minutes and meditate. But yours, I like the way you put it, which is it's a transition. It can be anything. Because I always tell people that, in the craziest time of your life, at the most stressful point, is when you need to step away and take 5 minutes to breathe, walk outside, go out in nature. And I like that term. It's a transition. That's so important to get that. And I always say to people, if you can do 5 minutes of every hour, if you could meditate, if you could go outside in nature, and so that's interesting, because that what you're saying now is not only affects that hour, but that's actually helping you later on as you move towards, it's time to go to sleep now. Those 5 minutes you spend every hour
100%.
In your transition. I love that. Well, your do's kind of tell the don'ts, actually, as we're talking through them, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, okay. Because the do is get up out of bed, and then what's the don't? Don't stay in bed.
Exactly. Yeah, right. it's not rocket science.
Yeah.
But I think what's easy to do is easy not to do, and vice versa.
Absolutely.
So oftentimes we get so caught up in our everyday life and thinking about all the things that we're dealing with that we just forget. We forget to take the space. We forget, these little things that make a huge difference. And it's like the small things, they build, and they really create your success in your life and your health and your relationships and everything else, and your sleep. So it's really a matter of, again, bringing some mindfulness, some attention, and connect to why it's important in the first place. Because a lot of people don't even understand that sleep is the foundation of health. That without sleep, you're not showing up for your family and friends. You're not as creative. You're not as energized. You're not as present. And a lot goes on during the night. It's not like you just close your eyes and all of a sudden nothing's happening. Incredible things happen. It's the most important time of the day. That's when your body recovers. That's when short-term memory gets shuttled to long-term memory. That's when the glymphatic system, which removes the beta amyloid, the plaque that builds up on the brain, that gets flushed out. There's so much that happens during the night, and it really can change your life when you get quality sleep, because you have more energy, and energy is really the source of everything that we do.
Okay, I have a ton more questions, but let's make sure. So we got the do's. Are there any, did we miss any do's before we get into just to hit on those quick don'ts?
I mean, there's a lot.
Yeah.
There's a whole sleep hygiene is essentially your habits, rituals, and routines that affect sleep, right? So I don't like to overwhelm people. I tell people to keep it simple. And again, depending on who I'm speaking to and to what their challenge is, the suggestions, the recommendations are going to be a little bit different.
Yeah. But I like what you said so far, because I think those are broad strokes that everybody can take on.
100%. 100%. Yeah.
For sure. Okay, so let's get into a couple of don'ts, and then I have a bunch of other questions for you.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, so hit me with we did 3 do's. Let's do 3 don'ts.
Okay, so don't eat right before bed.
Okay. Yes, I don't do that, so I'm good. I'm good on that one.
A lot of people do. They have a late night snack, or they eat dinner, way too close to the bedtime. And what happens is the energy gets diverted to the digestive system, and it's not allowing your body to get into deep delta sleep, which happens in the first quarter of the night, between 10 p.m. and usually 1 p.m. is when growth hormone gets released. It's when all this amazing things happen. That's when we get true quality sleep. If you eat too late, it disrupts that whole process. So, eating earlier and exercising earlier is 2 things that so don't exercise late at night and don't eat late at night. Do exercise early on and eat early on, right? Because it does make a big difference at the end of the night. Another thing I would say to not to do would be to bring your TV into your bedroom. This is a big one, and it's really hard for people because a lot of people say, well, I need to listen to the news.
Yeah, I need to fall asleep to the TV.
Yeah,
that used to be me many moons ago.
It's the worst thing you possibly could do, because not only are you getting blue light from your device, which blunts melatonin, which is the sleep hormone, but you're getting hyperarousal from, if you're watching the news, you're getting all this negative information that you're going to, go through your head the next 7-8 hours. Yeah. And it's the worst thing you possibly could do. So what could you do in place of that is create what I call a bed buffer, which is the time, a buffer between when you end your day and when you start your night. Really important. That's the most important transition outside of the one that happens first thing in the morning, out of bed, is transitioning out of your day into the night. So a lot of people have a lot of lights on in their house all the way late into the night. Start to turn half your lights off. Start to, when the sun goes down, start to set the mood a little bit. And it really does make a difference. It'll make you feel more sleepy. If you have a lot of bright lights on, again, your body doesn't know the difference. It thinks the sun's still out. And so you can start to turn off half the lights as the sun sets. You start to have a transition, a bedtime buffer. World of difference on sleep
I like
quality.
that, because that's interesting, because you know what, I hear a lot of people and they say, and I think it's obvious, with the TV, turn your technology off, turn your TV off, but I haven't heard somebody say that about turning the lights off, as you start to wind down, making sure that the lights in your home are starting to go off. I think that's really interesting, because I don't do that right now. So I'm definitely going to heed your advice, and I'm going to start doing that, where I start turning the lights off.
Yeah, try it.
I promise you, when it comes to the TV, that when you stop watching TV for bed, it definitely changes your sleep, because I've been advocating that for many years. Of course, do I follow it all the time? No, but I do know that it definitely works.
For sure, it does. It's I'm a big believer too, Laura, on we can't manage what we don't measure. So measuring your sleep is really important. Now, if you're a chronic insomniac, this could be actually detrimental, because if you don't know what to do with the data, or if you don't know what to do to change something, and you feel like you've tried everything and you still can't sleep, that's going to create more stress and anxiety. That's going to keep you up. But if you're somebody who's curious about sleep, that wants to improve the quality of their sleep and try on some of the things that we're talking about, it's important to measure it. Just like you'd measure calories, or just like you'd measure steps. I think this is even more important, measuring your sleep.
Yeah, I mean, one of the reasons that I advocate for better sleep is I have seen the physical effects and how it does affect the mind. My dad went through a lot of insomnia after he had shoulder surgery, And that really was the downfall of his mental health, was when he wasn't getting sleep because of the chronic pain from the shoulder. He wasn't sleeping. And as he got less and less sleep, he became more and more manic. And so I'm very, very clear when I work with clients myself that you have got to get good quality sleep. And you can notice it in yourself. If you are not getting quality sleep and a few days has gone by, your aggravation goes up, your frustration, and then leading further, it can get into the mental health issues. So I love the work that you're doing. I think it's so important in this world to talk about this issue, because it's not just like we have, everybody talks about what you put in your mouth and what you how you exercise, but we're not having this big, larger conversation about sleep right now that needs to be had.
Yeah, I thank you, first off. Yeah, and I 100% agree with you. I mean, I was ignorant to it. You know, for many years, I didn't really understand, before I got so fascinated with sleep. I didn't realize how important it was. I just thought it was something that we did every night, and I took it for granted. And then when I really began to study the science about sleep and what happens and how much it impacts, and I started to experiment with my own sleep and measure and track my sleep and see how, you know, by improving the quality of my sleep, the quality of my life was transformed. Then I really got hooked and just was like, man, this is something that people really need to wake up to, because it's I believe it is the foundation of health. I mean, if you think about it, you can go, you know, a couple of weeks without food, but try going one night without sleep. You know, you're not going to show up you're not showing up one night, right? And exercise, you know, you could go years, months. Some people don't exercise their entire life, but again, try going 1 or 2 nights without sleep. Forget it. So what's as an order of priority? What's most important? Sleep.
Yeah, you can get through it, because when I worked for Access Hollywood, we would do these 24-hour, actually 36-hour shifts doing the Oscars and Emmys and stuff, and so you can definitely get through it. But I always say, like, you know, they pull people over for drunk driving, but they should pull people over for lack of sleep, because your mental clarity is so off when you're not sleeping like that, when it's been, you know, 36 hours of no sleep. So it can be done, but you're right. If it becomes after a few days, forget it. You are so out of it, and you get cranky, and all of those things happen. Okay, so we talked, the first don't that we went through was the technology and the lights. So what's the second don't that we're going to talk about?
Don't bring your worries to bed.
Oh my gosh, that's easier said than done.
Yeah, so oftentimes, you know, it's, again, the biggest reason why most people have challenges with their sleep is because we were never taught how to effectively deal with our emotions and the traumas and stress that we experience. And the people that we learned from didn't know how to manage their own. So we often have counterproductive ways of dealing with stress. And, you know, we lash out in anger and frustration, which creates a loss of relationships. We zone out with TV, with movies, with work, and that creates a loss of time. Or we numb out with food, with drugs, with alcohol, and that creates a loss of health. And so you really need to start to understand, what is stress? Where do you store it in your body? What are you thinking that's creating stress? And you need to find better ways of dealing with it, and specifically not bringing it to bed, because, you know, that's the last place that you need to bring your worries. That's your bed and your bedroom should be the place where you have peace. And where you let everything else just be where it's supposed to be, and you just allow yourself to, you know, to get the rest that you deserve. And so it's really important to, you know, for people to understand that if you don't have support, or if you don't have strategies and tools to effectively deal with the trauma, the stress, the things that you're, you know, probably trying to avoiding, and you don't even realize, you know, that's affecting your sleep. And that's affecting your health, and that's affecting your life.
So then, would you advocate for people when they are, like last night? I get pretty good sleep, but every once in a while, especially when the moon is full, I have these like where I can't shut the brain down. So then, would you advocate for people who, when they're having one of those nights, if they're not a chronic insomniac, to just actually get up in bed and do something to get that out of you? Whether it's what you said earlier, journaling, meditating. You know, listening to easy music. You don't want it to be like heavy metal, but something that, or I'm a big advocate of sound healing. I love sound healing, so sometimes I'll listen. But again, it goes back to what I said earlier. Should I get out of bed when I do that and not stay in bed in order to bring myself out of the constant monkey mind?
Yeah, 100%. Don't have the monkey mind, and don't link monkey mind with bed.
Got it.
Because,
Okay.
you know, get out of bed, do something relaxing, do something boring, whatever that is, knitting, reading, stretching, listening to music, breathing, meditating, whatever it is. Everyone's different and on a different path and interested in different things, puzzles, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And you know, that's really important because again, there's something called stimulus control, and we don't want to anchor the bed with stimulus.
Yeah.
So, and that could be, again, usually it's a racing mind. And, you know, our mind's not like a light switch. We can't just turn it off. It would be nice if we could. And so we have to create the space to allow our minds to start to wind down. And that bed buffer, the nighttime ritual, the bedtime routine, that's really the whole purpose of that, is to, if you have a racing mind, it's to start to close some of the loops of the day so that you can feel more at peace, so that you can then, you know, get in bed and feel, you know, ready for sleep.
So then if you got out of bed and let's say you journaled or you meditate or whatever, when do you go back to, after you've realized, okay, the monkey mind's going, I can't get to sleep, I've got all these things going on. When do you actually get back into bed?
When you're sleepy.
When you're sleepy. Okay.
When you're sleepy. If you're not sleepy, it's not time for bed.
Okay.
So you know, that could be a long time for some people. And you know, again, and every night's not going to be a perfect night. Like I still have sleep challenges from time to time. That's normal.
Yeah.
Right. So there's different types of insomnia. Transient insomnia is like, you know, just a couple, you know, 1 or 2 nights you have a bad night of sleep. And then acute insomnia is a couple weeks. And then chronic insomnia is a couple, you know, 3 months. You're having issues more than 3 days a week for longer than 3 months. You would be considered to have chronic insomnia. So, you know, again, it's really a big part of solving sleep challenges is understanding that you have to look at it from a holistic standpoint. You can't just address it physically. You can't just address it mentally. You have to actually address it both and environmentally. So your sleep environment, really important.
Okay, let's do one more don't, and then I have a ton of questions. One last don't.
Yeah, one last don't. Let me think. I would say this is an easy one, and it's probably one of the hardest ones for people. But don't bring your phone to bed. Yeah, it's such an easy one, and it's such a difficult one. And I struggle with this. And one of the biggest things that helped me is actually turning off all the notifications on my phone. All of them. Like literally, I don't get any notifications on my phone. And so, you know, that's a little bit of an extreme, but you know, again, when we're on our phones, not only are we getting blue light, we're getting hyperarousal. And usually we're either checking email, which is creating cortisol, or we're looking at Instagram and comparing ourselves and our lives and our relationships to the Kardashians or whatever, you know what I mean? So that's not good. And you can't argue that that's not going to create some arousal in your mind body. So so that would be the last.
Okay. Oh, good. I definitely don't do that. I have learned over the last couple of years to take the phone away and I don't turn it off because I've had some problems where people who like emergency need to get a hold of me. So I leave it on. I turn the sounds down and I put it far away on a desk so it's not right there, because there is that temptation, especially when you can't sleep, to then grab the phone too. So
that's the most dangerous. That's it. When you wake up in the middle of the night, you're laying there and you're like, the phone's right there. You're like, oh, let me just see what's going on. Yeah. And like, that's the worst, because then you're getting the blue light, you're getting this stimulation, and these social platforms, they are designed to be addicting. I mean, these things are, it's crazy. Like if you're on Facebook or Instagram or whatever, Twitter and all these other ones, I mean, it's like, you just want to keep scrolling, and it's designed to do that.
Sucked in. Yep,
it's dangerous, and the nighttime is not when you want to be doing that.
Yeah. Okay. So this is leading into all sorts of different questions that I have. So just like specific scenarios that have happened to me or friends or family. Number one is lots of people that I know, especially women, because we have, as you said, the hormonal issues. Plus there's a statistic that men think 30,000 thoughts a day and women think 60,000 thoughts a day. So we definitely have more things rolling in our head. But what happens is a lot of women, they will fall asleep okay, but then they wake up in the middle of the night, whether it's 1 or 2 or 3. So what do you suggest for someone who does that, who falls asleep and then wakes up in the middle of the night?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's called sleep maintenance insomnia. So there's actually a couple different. There's sleep onset insomnia, which is trouble falling asleep, and then trouble staying asleep is sleep maintenance insomnia, which is a lot of women have sleep maintenance insomnia specifically because of hormones. And there's a lot of reasons why that happens. A lot. Some of the reasons we've already discussed, but really it could be, if she's premenopausal, postmenopausal, going through menopause, her sleep hygiene, how she's managing stress, is she practicing self-care, is she exercising? There's so many factors that can, I don't want to be flippant with it.
So it sounds like it's all the things that we earlier talked about to get to sleep are also causing the not being able to stay asleep as well.
100%. So sleep, all sleep is a symptom that something in your life is out of balance. All a sleep challenge is something's out of balance. Could be your hormones. It could be the way that you're, the career that you're in that you hate. And you wake up in the middle of the night thinking about, oh God, I don't want to wake up. I don't want to go to work tomorrow because it's like I have to deal with whatever. Right. So there's so many things. So I would be flippant of me to just kind of give you a blanket answer there. And there really isn't a blanket answer. It's really a matter of addressing it and being honest with yourself and saying, okay, well, if this is happening consistently, something is out of balance. And so it's up to that person to then take the accountability and responsibility to figure out what that is and then to address it.
Okay. Then that goes into the getting up to go to the bathroom, because I know lots of people who have to get up to go to the bathroom, especially, again, as you get older, the bathroom trips become more in the middle of the night. So is that a symptom as well of what's going on all around you? Yeah.
I mean, again, so a lot of times the people older, usually happens in the elderly population. It's, prostate things and all that. Don't drink don't try to wean your liquids off towards the end of the night. But that's going to happen. And it could be, usually there's a physical health challenge that person is not addressing. So again, all this, it's just your body telling you, okay, something maybe needs to be balanced. But here's the thing. I mean, if you have to get up and go to the bathroom, again, we talked about the light. One of the best things that I actually got for Christmas this year was this little toilet light that literally it like lights up the toilet bowl. Yeah. So you don't have to turn the light on. So if you have to get up for whatever reason in the middle of the night, the worst thing you want to do is turn the bathroom light on and like you can't see, and you can usually, if you're a guy, you're missing the toilet and it's like you got to wipe all up. So it sits in the toilet. And it's motion censored. You wake up in the middle of the night. I mean, that's a common thing, and it's because you have to go to the bathroom. Like, all jokes aside, it actually is a great little investment. Okay, so not flip the lights on when you have to go to the bathroom. So again, because light, what does light do? Stimulates. It stimulates light. Yeah. So light shuts off the melatonin faucet. Melatonin's a sleep hormone. We don't want to shut the melatonin faucet off. So another thing I did want to mention here, Laura, about women specifically. Yeah. Body temperature is a big one for women, especially with hormone fluctuations. So, keeping the room really cool. And there's some amazing devices. One of them is called the Chili Pad. Another one's called the Bed Jet. These are devices that cool the mattress and keep your body cool. That actually makes a huge difference. Okay. Huge difference. Because really when we look at sleep from a physiological standpoint, we're looking at body temperature. When your body temperature needs to drop between 2 and 3 degrees Fahrenheit for the onset of sleep to happen. So if you're having hormone hot flashes, things like that, and you're waking up and you're sweating, or it's too hot, and like sometimes, like if you're married, your husband wants it warmer or colder, and so there is great solutions like the Chili Pad, the Bed Jet, that really help create. There's actually even a bed now called Sleep 8 that has a built-in cooler in it. I mean, these. Oh my gosh, I need it. I need it. I love it. I do have a cooling pillow, like a copper pillow that says it's supposed to keep you cool. Because that is one of my problems. Is I live in South Florida, so it's hot here, and you have to run the air conditioner to make it cold. But I'm gonna have to investigate some of these things that you're saying to make the bed cooler. It's for sure. I love that. They're investments, but it's one of the things I got for my wedding is an amazing gift: the bamboo sheets. Yeah. Game changing. I'll never sleep with cotton again. Okay. I'm like, the bamboo keeps your body cool. They're soft. It's like, sustainable. It's worth the cost. I'll tell you. Okay. I'll never go back to regular sheets after I got the bamboo sheets. But yeah, so things to
that.
keep your body cool at night. And that, again, it can be challenging if you're sleeping with someone, because oftentimes, like for instance, my wife, her body emits a lot of heat, and she's
Yeah.
doing that to cool her body down. And I'm like, oh my God, you're making me sweat over here, you know?
Yeah.
So, having something, having some cooling sheets or a fan blowing or dropping the temperature does help.
Dual masters helps too.
What's that?
Dual master bedrooms helps too.
There you go.
Sleeping in separate rooms.
Yeah. Hey, I mean, whatever works. Whatever works.
Okay, so then if you are somebody who does get up in the middle of the night, even you've fallen asleep but you get up, should you get out of bed if you have woken up?
Yeah, if you wake up and you're rolling around for more than 15, 20 minutes, and I'm a big advocate of not looking at the clock. So if you have a bedstand clock, turn it down, turn it away, because the worst thing you want to do is wake up and start looking at the clock.
Yeah.
So, feel that intuitively. If you're rolling around for more than 15, 20 minutes, at that point, I would recommend you leave the bedroom and then go do something boring, such as knitting or the other things that we already spoke about. Again, this is stimulus. It's called stimulus control.
Yeah. Well, I do my best work at 3 in the morning though. So for me, that I use that time. I use that time to write 4 books. So when I can't, it's almost like I've been woken up in order to write. So then after I do that, where after about 5-10 minutes, I'm like, okay, I'm not going back to sleep. Then I'll go and I will get my laptop and then I'll start writing. And 4 books came out. So
that's amazing. So
it's good for me.
Yeah. So here, I mean, here's.
But I'm sure that's not for everybody.
No, and we have different chronobiology, so we have different circadian rhythms, and you might be somebody that has a later rhythm, and there's, depending on different cultures and different things, 4 p.m., 3 p.m. they say like that's the quiet time when creativity is, the world's asleep, so there's more creative energy, and there's, all of this goes to say, you gotta find what works for you.
Yeah.
But you want to make sure that you're getting enough sleep, because sleep, it will catch up to you.
Okay, so that's good, because that's one of my questions is how much sleep is too much sleep and how much sleep is the perfect amount of sleep?
Yeah, so the National Sleep Foundation says between 7 to 9 hours for healthy adults, and that's a pretty big range. That's a 2-hour range. You want to, at the minimum, get at least 7 hours. And a lot of people think, well, I was in bed for 7 hours, but you weren't sleeping for 7 hours. You wanted 7 hours of sleep. There's a difference between being in bed for 7 hours and sleeping for 7 hours.
Yeah.
So to give yourself an opportunistic chance to get 7 hours, you're most likely going to be in bed for probably 8 hours. Some people need more. And so depending on if you're an athlete, depending on how, if you're a man, a woman, how old you are, your chronobiology, all your genetics, that all factors into how much sleep you really should be getting. But you should wake up refreshed. If you're not waking up refreshed, you're not getting into deeper stages of delta sleep and REM sleep. And it's not normal. It might be the norm. It's not normal. You should wake up. You should feel refreshed. You should feel recharged. And if that's not happening for you, then you're either not getting enough quality sleep, or there's something going on. Maybe you have sleep apnea or something else that you need to address.
Well, in the world that we're currently living in right now, I would imagine that people are sleeping more than they ever have in their entire life. Is there such a thing as too much sleep?
Yeah, that's a great question. Yeah, I mean, there is, so, and then it goes again to the person, right? So if you're oversleeping, let's say you're in bed for 12 hours and you're waking up tired, you're probably getting too much sleep, or again, you're not getting deeper quality sleep. So your body's trying to extend the sleep time to get more of the quality sleep, the REM and the deep sleep. So yeah, there is such thing as too much sleep. So again, if let's say you sleep for 10 hours and you wake up and you're still tired, maybe you have overslept, or it could be you're waking up at not the right phase of sleep, because we go through different cycles every single night. We go through 4 to 5 different cycles, and each cycle we go through different stages of sleep. And so you could be waking up in a deep sleep, and because you're sleeping too long, and so also the phase that you're waking up in is going to dictate how you feel as well.
Okay, what about naps during the day? If you are tired and you either have gotten the right amount of sleep but you're tired, or you're not sleeping well and you're napping during the day.
Yeah, no for insomniacs, yes for healthy people that sleep great.
Okay.
And so 20 minutes is an ideal time to recharge the body, usually between 2 and 3 o'clock, or 1 and 3. That's when we get a natural dip in our body temperature. And that can totally refresh the mind and recharge the body. And it's, around the world, they take siestas, and a lot of cultures do. We don't, because we're workaholics.
Yeah.
But
hey, haven't we learned our lesson about that right now?
Yeah, right. But for insomniacs, last thing you want to do is take a nap, because what does it do? It reduces sleep pressure. Sleep pressure is what you need to build up. And a lot of times people try to catch up on sleep debt by taking a nap, but they end up staying on that vicious cycle and keeps them stuck.
Okay, so if you are an insomniac, then don't nap. Just let that sleepiness build up so you can actually get to sleep. Okay, and then last question before I let you go. Lots of people take pharmaceuticals in order to get themselves to sleep. There's lots of them out there. And then, of course, there's also those natural supplements out there as well. So what are your thoughts on each of those?
Yeah, so with the pharmaceuticals, a lot of sleeping pills are really dangerous. They're habit forming. And if you look at the studies, they're linked to all different types of chronic disease, like Alzheimer's specifically. And the reason for that is there's a difference between naturalistic sleep and sedation. So these sleeping pills will sedate you. Ambien, Lunesta, clonazepam, all these different, things. They sedate you. That's not real sleep. And again, they're habit forming, and there's a really long list of side effects. So I'm not a fan of sleeping medications. There is a time and a place, and under proper supervision, there's a place for them. But it's not a long-term solution. It's a Band-Aid solution.
Yep.
Now, sleep supplements, they can really be amazing if you get a company that's integrity and has good quality ingredients. And I'm not a fan of melatonin, because it's a hormone that we naturally produce, and there's studies that suggest that it could blunt our own natural ability to produce it. And a lot of people take melatonin, and it helps sleep onset, but it actually doesn't help you stay asleep. So I partnered with a company that I work with called REMrise, and we're actually offering a free series right now for people. But they do a really nice holistic approach. They use Eastern and Western ingredients, quality sourced, and it's personal to your personal sleep challenge. Because depending on whether you have issues getting to sleep or staying asleep or both, or why you have issues with your sleep, there's different formulas that can fit and support and promote sleep. So
where can you find that?
You can go to remrise.com. And also on my website, Sleep Science Academy, I have an amazing resource of all the scientifically backed sleep supplements. So it's a free guide. You don't even have to opt in for it. You just go to my website. It says a supplement guide, and it'll give you a list of all the most scientifically backed sleep supplements. And I tell you the dosing. I tell you, what it helps. Like lemon balm actually helps for menopausal women. Helps them sleep. So there's all these different things. So you can go through and look at the different ingredients and find something that might support and promote sleep for you.
Okay, and then you also work with some people as coaches if they're having sleep problems, correct, as well?
Yeah. So you can find all that at Sleep Science Academy. There's a lot of resources. DevonBurke.com is also, that's my personal website. You can learn. I have a TED Talk that I gave that talks about sleep, and a bunch of different content on YouTube, a YouTube channel, Sleep Science Academy. But you can find everything at SleepScienceAcademy.com.
Fantastic. All right. Well, thank you. I love all my guests on this show because I feel like I get a master class in all of these different things. So this has been really informative and insightful. I learned a lot. And I hope the people who are watching learned a lot. And I'll drop all of the stuff in the comments of where you can find the great Devin Burke. Thank you so much for this. This was fantastic.
Thanks, Laura. Yeah, thanks for having me on the show. And
I hope
everyone sleeps well tonight.
All right. Take care. Thank you.
Thanks.